I saw you last year at the One Rental at a Time meetup. My question is, instead of buying a business, can I use a loan to start a business?
Yes, you can do startups. As long as it's an eligible business, you can do startup. Generally, you're going to finance anywhere from 70 to 80%, maybe 85% on a startup. I've seen as high as 90, but generally 80-ish% of the total startup costs, you would fund the additional 20% equity injection or down payment.
Can SBA 504 be utilized for vending machines and related businesses, and can the machines be categorized as equipment?
For vending, we're usually using the 7A loan product. It's just an easier product to finance. Is it possible to package a bunch of vending machines together and do a 504? Potentially, but it's going to be a lot easier with the 7A. We work with a business opportunity that helps people start and launch vending businesses. And so they'll sell you packages of vending machines, and then we finance. Let's say the customer or candidate wants to buy $100,000 of vending machines. I can finance 90% of that. So I can finance a $90,000 loan. They come in with 10 grand to close the deal.
Is it required to have a business plan to submit for the loan?
If it's a startup, yes. But we can help you do that. I mean, I'm not going to do it for you, but there's something called ChatGPT, and we have templates that we can share with you. And also we have nonprofits that will mentor you and help you draft a business plan for free. So we have lots of resources. But you do need it on a franchise startup or a startup business. You need a business plan. It needs to be good. It doesn't have to be pretty with pictures, but the content has to be relevant because you're sending a file to be underwritten, and you're in California and you're sending it to the Texas or wherever. That person doesn't know you, and they need to understand the business.
So what if you don't have good credit but own a home with no mortgage? Would that help or no?
I think if you have bad credit, first, let's get to the source of why you have bad credit. Can we repair it? Like, having good credit is important. Back in the day, I used to do a lot of flipping, house flipping. I charged up my credit cards, and if your utilization is charged up to 80 or 90%, even if you've made your payments on time, your scores drop. My scores dropped to 580. I was stuck. And that's when I started building business credit, meaning they're still looking at me personally, but I have LLCs and different entities. They have $30,000 line of credit, 20 there. When I charge those up, those don't show up on my personal credit.
I'm a 50-50 co-owner with my business partner. My score is over 780. Partners is 660 or so. Can mine carry the weight, or does it work like that?
So 680 is not hard set in stone. So the answer is you can get them done with lower sometimes, but I mean, that's probably close that I would say we could run it like that. But there's other ways too. You could take a bigger ownership. If that person was under 20% ownership, they wouldn't have to go on the loan. So maybe you could get creative around that. But they might be fine at 660. We just have to understand the story a little bit and what you're actually trying to do.
What if you don't have extra cash flow to put down?
Well, if you have good credit and you have good outside income, but you're lacking the equity injection, one is you try to get a seller carry of a portion of it and then find a money partner. Find another equity investor that can partner with you and bring in some money.
I'm a truck driver in California. I don't have a green card, but I do have a work permit for 5 years. I need startup funding to start my trucking company in California and grow to other states, but my credit is bad.
That's going to be tough. If your credit wasn't bad, work on your credit. If you have your own business right now and you have like deposits going into your business account of over $17,000 or $20,000 a month, you can get merchant MCA, like merchant cash. It's merchant cash advance. That could be money, but it's expensive money. So like first work on your credit in my opinion. Like don't let your credit get bad. Like having good credit is important because if you need early on in business, you need to, like I told you about when I was doing house flipping and my scores went down to 580, you're stuck, right? But if you play the credit game and you start and you have good credit. So when I open a new bank account now with one of my businesses, because they say, hey, do you want a business credit card? Yeah. They still run my personal credit. And because I have scores close to 800, boom, right? I have good experience. They're going to give me 10, 15, 20 grand without even having to show income. And then there's ways to build that. And so now I have multiple LLCs and things that each have credit. So if I need to tap into credit, I have plenty of available credit that I can use, and it doesn't affect my personal credit profile because I cherish that now. Because when money is tight, cash flow is tight, running businesses, you need to, buy more leads or whatever you're doing, buy more inventory. You need access to capital.
What's best for startups? I've had my business since 2020, but it was just for wholesaling real estate. Now I'm trying to open up senior assisted living homes. I'm also a veteran, if that helps.
I would probably start a new business entity. I'm not giving you legal advice or tax advice or whatever, but I would start a business entity, and that your NAICS code would be representative of what you're doing with this assisted living facility, or talk to a CPA to give you advice. But your prior experience isn't going to help you. So I would start something fresh that is relevant to that. Like keep it focused on the residential assisted living facility, or be able to change the NAICS code. To answer your question, yes, you can use SBA financing for residential assisted living but the caveat is you have to have the permits and stuff in hand. So you have to do like an extended escrow and be able to get with the city so you can have all the permitting. And so when we close that loan, everything's already in place. So that's the hard part about structuring it. But yes, you can do residential assisted living if you can meet those thresholds and benchmarks.
If you don't have great credit, would having a co-signer be beneficial?
If your credit stinks, then I would probably be an owner that owns less than 20%, so I don't have to go on the loan. And then the partner would be the guarantor of the loan if they're willing to do that.
What is the turnaround for funds to be received through SBA loans?
It depends. Is there real estate involved? How fast you work? On franchise startup deals, we close them as quick as 3 weeks. Generally, on business acquisitions, you're between on the best case scenario, 45 days, 45 to 60 days. If there's real estate involved, we have to do environmental and phase one, environmental report and appraisal. It all depends on turn time. But what I find is it's mostly not the banks holding things up. It's the borrowers not being able to get the projections and all the paperwork in.
Is it impossible to get an SBA loan if you are a recent college grad with no real experience? Example, if I wanted to buy a gym that costs 1 million and I have a good business plan and understanding of business, would I be able to somehow get financing?
Potentially, it depends if you have, all the other character. Do you have credit in your name? Like, is it feasible? Yeah, but maybe something like that would be like. And here's where the mindset shifts for me is like instead of maybe starting with $1 million business, can we get you into a business that like a startup franchise where your all-in investment is $100,000 and we finance 90,000. But we could look at the situation. I just say like, what's feasible? If you have 100 grand, then yes, you can buy $1 million business potentially, and you have good credit. And if the business is cash flowing and it makes sense, then yes, you can.
What makes an existing business not eligible for SBA financing?
There's certain ineligible industry like money lending businesses. There's a handful of businesses that are anything in cannabis is a no go. Money lending are the two big ones. If the business has any religious domination, then it can't be like a school that's like a Christian school, or right? It can't have religion as part of it to be eligible. There's other products for that, but
Should I try to get pre-qualified for an SBA loan or find a business first? How can I maximize my chance of getting approval when contacting a bank?
here's the questions I ask. Do you have good credit? Do you have outside income? Do you have a decent resume? If yes, a pre-qualification doesn't mean anything on a business acquisition. If you meet those benchmarks, you're probably going to be fine. Let's say you're thinking about buying a $500,000 business. Do you have 50 grand in the bank and a little bit extra of liquidity? Like if you have those, then it's going to be good. But the most important thing on a business acquisition, if you meet those other benchmarks, is get the tax returns, because we underwrite business acquisitions off the seller's business tax returns. So we need 3 years plus profit and loss in your balance sheet. So you get those first, and then we see if the business cash flows or not. Yeah, that's the way to do it. So getting pre-qualified is not really going to help you. If you're already confident, like I have good credit, I could come up with the money, then most likely I would get the business first, because a pre-qualification doesn't really mean anything, because it's when you're doing a business acquisition, a lot of the weight is on the business you're buying.
And just to reiterate, what did you say a good utilization score was, or ratio was for credit cards?
So just the rule of thumb is, look, if my credit card is high limit of $10,000, then I shouldn't have it charged up over $3,000. I should keep it at 30% or less of the high credit limit. That's the basic rule of thumb.
Does SBA work with agriculture startup business?
Yeah, they do. There's also a product called USDA BNI where we can do loans up to 25 million. That's for rural areas. That's also another government guaranteed product. So potentially, yes, on rural.
If you're looking to acquire a business, stop scrolling on Biz Buy Sell and visit franchiseresellelistings.com. We'll do a customized search. You can get on our weekly distribution where we're sending new inventory weekly to your inbox. So visit franchiseresellelistings.com and opt in today. See you there. Hey guys, Beau Eckstein here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.